Is Mr. Hager, is he on?
Sorry?
Okay, just making sure you're on. Okay.
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry.
The time is 7:03 p.m. and I call this regularly scheduled meeting of the Red Oak City Council to order. Let it be known that we have a quorum present with all members in attendance. This meeting has been duly posted in accordance to the Texas Government Code, Section 551 for the Open Meetings Act. We are allowed to convene this meeting in accordance to governor's orders. So most of it is via telephone or video conference. So, this Councilman Wilson, are you able to lead us in our invocation and our pledge?
Our Father who art in heaven, Father, we thank you for this day, for this opportunity that we might be able to do those things set before us, that we might do it in a way pleasing to thee. Father, I pray that you'd be with this council, that you'd allow us to have the wisdom we need to meet those needs of this city. Father, I thank you for these men and women who are willing to stand and do those things for this city. Father, I thank you also for those who protect us, our fire and our police. Father, I pray that you'd be with them and guide and protect them. Thank you, Father, for the leadership that they have, that these qualities might continue with them and with the city as we pursue those things that are needful for growth and for sustenance. Be with us, Heavenly Father, this evening, that we might have your presence. And we pray in Jesus' mighty name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yeah.
Thank you, Councilman.
The other once in a while, the tongue gets a little bit.
Mr. Fuller.
Yes, sir.
No, please.
Gentlemen.
So, presentations. First, we have some recognition. A couple of different instances of it. So, as you're aware, we had a couple of weeks ago the Texas blizzard and snowstorm that came through. Shut a lot of things down, but I wanted to, not individually per se, but I wanted to commend all of our employees. They did a fantastic job. Chief Blanton was the incident commander over it, but between the fire, the police, public works, finance, getting all the payroll and accounts payable out, offsite, human resources, communicating internally, our communications marketing director, communicating externally, and just all of our support staff. They did a fantastic job, and we didn't have very many issues at all. As a community, obviously some individuals had their own unfortunate situations, but from a community standpoint, I think our folks did an excellent job, and I'd like to thank all of them. And commend them, the leadership we had from that as well. And Jonathan as well. I didn't say assistant city manager, but, you know, I was out of electricity and phone and internet for at least half that time. So, you know, it was kind of a chore keeping all of us informed, but we got it done. So, department heads, if you would thank all of your staff, and thank you all for your leadership as well.
Thank you. I'd kind of like to tag on to that. You know, we have a lot of citizens, in our community that are, gonna find some struggles financially coming up, as these, electric bills kind of hit, their house. And, as a city, I'd like to draft a letter, and I want to make sure that we get that letter drafted then to not only those electrical companies, but the PUC and also our Congress, people to say, you know, this cannot happen again. You know, we can't help them necessarily pay for their bill, but we can do our best as a city to represent them and state that we're not gonna tolerate that type of, issue that kind of happened. So, I don't know how we go about doing that, but, I bring that up because I think it's only our duty to help represent those people that were, affected, so.
Yes, sir. Jonathan, do you want to add anything to that?
No, I think, you know, we're a small city. We don't have a lot of resources as big cities do. But I think that, you know, our staff did a great job of really making it look like that we had all the resources that we needed, to address all the needs. You know, everything from helping other entities out to, coordinating with TxDOT when TxDOT really wasn't coordinating with us. So, you know, as Todd mentioned, I think Chief Blanton did a great job in leadership and running the incident command. And then our staff, and especially the folks who are out there treating roads, managing accidents, helping with water breaks and that sort of thing, you know, helping people turn their water off. You know, and so, you know, I just personally appreciate all the hard work, and I know that took a lot of people away from their families, and I know there was a lot of overtime work in that week, so, you know, hats off to all the staff out there.
Very much so.
So we did have another emergency, last week, and Chief Wolf, is here, and he wanted to recognize some folks. As you recall, we had a Amber Alert last week. And thanks to the quick action of some of our local folks at the La Quinta, as well as our PD, that came across successfully. But Chief, if you want to say a few words and then make some introductions.
Mayor, Council, as the city manager alluded to, we had an Amber Alert last week that resulted in us being brought into a situation where they were at a local hotel.
We can state their name. We want them to have the recognition.
La Quinta.
There we go.
They called us, and some of their staff earlier during the night had actually checked this murder suspect in, and the child that was with him, unbeknownst to them at that time, an Amber Alert hadn't come out. When he got off shift, went home, he watched TV and also received the Amber Alert, recognized the fact that these were, in fact, the people that he had checked in earlier in the night. He passed that information along to the current staff that was working, who in turn contacted our dispatch, which got us involved. As a result of that, we responded to the location. They continued to provide us crucial intelligence throughout that event that allowed us to formulate a strategy and a plan to be able to contain and control that suspect, minimize the risk to the other patrons at the hotel, and position us in such a way, based on that intelligence, to be able to respond when the suspect did walk out. We were able to take the suspect into custody without incident and recover the juvenile female who had been taken. She was unharmed and uninjured. So the officers that were on scene did a fantastic job in coordinating that intelligence information and formulating a strategy to be able to respond. But had it not been for the staff at La Quinta calling us and giving us the information that we needed and being good citizens and good business owners in town, it's unknown how that event may have transpired or ended up ultimately playing out. And so, as a staff at the police department and in talking with Chief Blanton, we felt it appropriate to bring the two individuals here before council so we could recognize them as a city for their contribution in the safe return of this juvenile and ultimately having a felonious offender taken into custody, and now justice can be sought for the family of the murder victim.
Marissa Villarreal and Eli Neary. So,
Marissa, if you come up. And if the council would entertain me for a second, I'd like to read what both certificates say. To all who shall see these present, greetings, know that reposing special trust and confidence in the fidelity and abilities of Marissa Villarreal, I do present her this certification of special recognition from the Red Oak Police Department on the 8th day of March, 2021. Let it be known that your actions on March 1st, 2021 directly resulted in a response that ensured the safety and welfare of a young child and the capture of a wanted murder suspect. Your quick actions and your resolve to ensure justice was done brings great credit upon yourself and will forever demonstrate that even the smallest action can forever impact the safety and well-being of others. Given under my hand at the office of the Chief of Police this 8th day of March in the year of our Lord 2021. And I'll spare everybody else the rereading of this, but Eli Neary was the clerk that was on duty when the suspect came into the business. He felt things were kind of off just a little bit. It kind of stuck in his mind, and then when he went home and he saw that, he was able to recall those facts and put that into play and start the ball rolling for our response. And we're very proud of the fact that he, you know, some people may have just turned a blind eye to it or forgotten it or may have already went to bed or whatever the case may be, but this kind of nagged at him and he ended up calling us and we were able to respond and do what we did. So I just wanted to say thank you for that.
thank you very, very much. Citizens like you is what we want in the.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tough to top that.
Yeah, let's just go home.
Is that a motion? All right.
Chief Blanton.
Council Mayor, I wanted to introduce our new firefighter. He's not here, but he is online. I believe his name underneath is GG, so I believe he's on. It's not his name, but he's using somebody's computer, so hopefully he's White West, yes. So I just wanted to introduce him. He started with us on March 1st. He went through our extensive hiring process. Obviously, it includes the physical agility test, background investigation, interview, panel review board, medical department members, polygraph, psychological, and then last but not least, the chief's interview. He's currently in our 2-week orientation process where he's going to learn the Red Oak Way and become familiar with our city policies and fire department policies and procedures. Mr. West comes to us from the Vernon Fire Department. He's a certified firefighter EMT. He's been in the fire service for just a little less than a year. He does have an associate's degree from North Central Texas College, and once Wyatt completes his orientation, he's going to be assigned to B shift at Station 181. So if y'all see him around town, give him a hard time, shake his hand, or say hi, or whatever you feel necessary. So we just wanted to introduce you to Mr. West. Sir?
Vernon, Texas.
He come from Vernon. He was at Vernon Fire Department for a little less than a year.
I was
Yes, sir.
going to leave the deer and quail hunting area.
And come down here with the squirrels.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Welcome, Mr. West.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You bet. Glad to have you. All right. Now's the time for consent agenda. Consent agendas are considered routine in nature and can be acted upon in one motion, or they can be withdrawn and acted upon separately by city councilman, myself, or city manager. Is there anything that needs to be withdrawn and acted separately?
Mayor, we missed citizens' comments.
You missed citizens' comments, man.
Comments come in, Karen?
No, sir.
Not in the email either.
Okay, I apologize. No citizens' comments. Down at the bottom of the page, and I missed it. So is there any, consent item that needs to be withdrawn? Okay, entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Councilman Brawley, second. Councilman Drake. Those in favor?
Tony, aye.
Aye.
Drake, aye.
Raleigh, aye.
Aye.
That's 5-0. Excellent. Item 5, consider adoption of resolution number 21-022R, the City Council of the City of Red Oak, Texas, supplementing resolution number 21-010R, extending and amending the state of emergency as a result of COVID-19 virus, providing for interim public safety measures, providing for a face covering requirement for the city buildings, facilities, outdoor spaces, providing for republishing the resolution and providing a severability clause and providing an effective date. And I'll take this, if you don't mind. Sure. So I ask that this one be come in front of all of us so we can actually discuss this. And the reason being, at some point, we have to consider the continued safety of our staff members. And I was quite disappointed with the governor's order that is proposed to come out on Wednesday. And I don't think that we have enough vaccine coverage to keep our workers safe. And I want to, at some point, we're going to have to decide at what percent positivity in the general population is it going to be safe to open. I don't know what that number is, and I don't think anybody knows what that number is. But we need to be able to start thinking along those lines whenever that happens. And this order specifically states, and Councilman Hager, Councilor Hager, we're allowed to restrict those people entering the city facilities, the city parks, the sports complexes, and it's spelled out very nicely in that ordinance. So I open that, and please jump in if you want to share anything else. I open because I want to have this as a discussion, because we need to start trying to think about how we're going to actually open up. And when that's going to happen, I don't know. But so any discussion?
Well, yeah, I guess I want safety for our citizenry, but I'm wondering, personally, myself, I can't wear it. I'll pass out because I've got a lung condition where I can't breathe hardly anything right now. But for me, if I'm outside, the mask isn't going to help me anyway. If you're wearing the mask and you're protected, me not wearing a mask is not going to affect you. I mean, there's so much up and down on this mask, and I think people ought to be able to make their own choice if they're going to wear the mask. I mean, there's disagreement on this, but everything we've heard has been, yes, wear a mask, no, you don't need to wear a mask. Wear one mask, wear two. I have a real problem with some of the things that have been said about wearing a mask. The CDC has come out as of yesterday saying that they're not really effective. So I have a problem mandating to people that you're going to do this. I'm not trying to be, you know, unfriendly or unkind, but my mom taught me not to get in somebody's face, to wash my hands, you know, and if I'm sick, stay in bed. I've been around a lot of people. I haven't worn a mask once. And I'm not, maybe you're thinking I'm selfish or something, but I'm not. I'm somebody that stands or wants to stand for individual liberties. For us to mandate something that I don't think is proven to work. I mean, I sell these dust masks, but I sell them in shops where they're not going to breathe particles of wood and things of this nature. And it does help in that. I'll wear one if I'm not mowing the grass, but I'll almost pass out doing that. An N95 mask is not proven. You need a gas mask to keep all of these things from penetrating your lungs. And for something that is 99% recovery rate, which is better than the flu. I mean, we lost a lot of people, and I'm not saying this is not dangerous. I'm not saying it's not viable, that we need to be careful because of it. But I don't know, I've got a real question about mandating what people should or should not do.
Sure. Anyone else?
Yeah, I want to probably say much of the same thing that Ron just said, but I understand our need and our reasoning for doing it in city buildings, city facilities. I'm not sure about the open spaces. We're saying that for parks, outdoor spaces. I'm not sure what we're using that definition of open spaces. I would like for us to, you know, if we're going to discuss it, let's clarify what that is. But I agree with Ron. I'm really getting towards that point where we've got these temporary orders in place. How long is temporary? And we're doing it by executive order, and nobody's voting on this, and we're telling people that they need to do a certain thing. And like Ron said, it's infringing on civil liberties. I understand that we want to protect the public, we want to protect our employees, but we need to figure out, you know, at what point this temporary order is going to go away. So if we can get some clarification on the open spaces, that would help me reaching the decision on which way I would vote.
Sure.
Ron, I don't think that you've been disrespectful or anything. We understand. You have about a point. You know, I'm one that I have a heart condition, and this thing is driving me crazy. I've had more upper respiratory problems since we've been wearing them. I've been back and forth to my doctor. You know, so I get what you're absolutely right. We do have to have a order again more of what's right, what's wrong. You know, who's right, who's wrong. It's just more again getting an understanding of it. You know, I'm ready to get rid of it. Sure. You know, but at the same time, I try to respect others, and then feel the things. You know, like I said, we were taught not to be in people's face. You know, to wash our hands. You know, we're being told to do what we were already taught to do. You know, but at the same time, it's more giving you.
Okay.
These masks are annoying and uncomfortable, but so is dying by COVID.
Right.
The, SARS infection is transmitted predominantly by respiratory droplets generated when people cough, sneeze, sing, talk, or breathe. The CDC recommends community use of masks, specifically non-valve, multi-layer cloth masks, to prevent transmission of SARS-CoV-2. Masks are primarily intended to reduce the emissions of virus-laden droplets, which is especially relevant for asymptomatic or pre-symptomatic infected wearers who feel well and may be unaware of the infection to others, who are estimated to account for more than 50% of transmission. Masks also will help reduce inhalation of these droplets by the wearer. The community benefit of masking SARS-CoV-2 control is due to the combination of these effects. Individual prevention benefit increases with increasing number of people using masks consistently and correctly. That's the CDC position.
I got something.
I've been going on for a year and a half.
So who are you gonna trust? Fauci says one thing, then 2 weeks later says another, he goes back and says something else.
Now, you can certainly not wear the thing in a weak condition, I certainly agree, I think you should, because you can't breathe, man, it's tough. But my cousin got this stuff, and he was a long distance runner, he ran the Boston Marathon. He went in the hospital for 5 days and had 105-degree temperature. He said he thought that he was going to die, and it was the toughest thing that he had ever experienced in all of his life. Now, I think we're getting close, but what the hell does 2 months more wearing a mask, or 6 weeks more wearing a mask, hurt us compared to somebody coming down? We've had 550,000 people die in this nation with this crap. So that's where I'm standing. I'm with you, Mayor, on this one.
Well, the 550,000 is.
550,000.
Is not an accurate number either. I've got a son that works as a funeral director, and he had somebody that came in with a gunshot wound, and they classified it as COVID-19 death, which was a damnable lie. He may have had COVID, but he didn't die because of it. There's a lot of inflation. They're done. The numbers are actually closer to 187,000.
If there's anything, it's an underestimation. According to the CDC, we've had 300,000 more people die this year in addition to COVID.
They may have had COVID.
No,
they may have
but I'm saying that we've had over 300,000 more die this year than died in 19. That's not including the 500,000 from COVID. So if there's anything, we're underestimating the number of people who died from it.
I disagree with the numbers, but.
All right.
I have to agree with Ben. I'm not sure where you're getting your CDC information, because when I look on the CDC website and everything that I've heard from people that work at the CDC, they're saying what Ben says, and they say that masks do work. And they're a whole lot smarter than I am.
Well, that may be true. There may be an agenda too.
Let me finish. Ron, we could allow this to turn into a yelling, screaming, hollering match. It doesn't need to do that.
No.
This has been a divisive incident since the beginning, and it's been divisive because of the leadership that we did not have. Absolutely. And I understand about people concerned about losing individual liberties. I don't like wearing a mask. I don't feel like any liberty that I have has been lost by me wearing it. Not at all. And I also think about, and Ben was in Vietnam, which was a terrible thing, but I also think about what Americans had to do in World War II, and the things they had to give up. And it was way more than wearing a mask. And I just think if those people could have done that, and thank God they did, or we probably wouldn't be sitting here right now, that we can put up with some a little inconvenience. And my in-laws are 94 and 92, and they've got serious health issues. And I worry, and even though I've had my vaccine shot, both of them, and I wear masks everywhere, I still worry every time that I go in there that I may take it. And Ron, look, you're getting your facts, there's nothing I can say that's gonna change your mind. I understand that.
I'm not saying that.
And I'm not trying to change your mind, because again, it would be pointless.
Well,
But my argument is, I'm gonna watch, I listen to people that I respect, which is the CDC, and what I have read, what I have heard from them, and from people that work in the CDC, that these masks do work, and that we should continue to do them, even if we've had the vaccine shot. And I've had it, and I'm gonna continue to wear it because of that. I get it. And I also know that people are going to harass me because I do, but I really don't care.
I'm not trying to harass anybody for wearing masks. I'm just saying it should be more of a voluntary thing.
So let me kind of answer to some of those points that you brought up. Or let me also make a statement. So, a doctor friend of mine was sharing with one of her patients. She said, I hate these masks. She's a true believer. You know why? Because it hurts her practice, because she doesn't see the influenza, she doesn't see the allergies, she doesn't see all these others. So there's some benefit to these masks. Influenza and COVID are viruses, and there is some protection, okay? Now,
So there wasn't. I'm just saying that I feel like it should be voluntary.
okay, so,
Not mandatory.
so were you able to read the article, the order, the new one?
No, we just got the new one.
Just got the.
Okay,
this evening.
all right, so our primary goal is to protect our employees.
Sure.
So we're still gonna be shift working to help protect them. We're still gonna be doing appointments, so if someone comes in, they're gonna have to set up an appointment to wear it. Because if we have a specific department get exposed and shut down, it's crippling, okay? So would you agree to that?
I'm not arguing that.
No, I'm
just saying, I'm not arguing
okay.
that at all.
And so the outdoor spaces are, if they can't social distance.
Mhm.
So ball fields and stuff like that, we're gonna ask them to separate out. And if they can't, we're gonna ask them to wear a mask. They can still be there, okay? And actually, I think it's the CDC guidelines that are saying now, it's once they've been fully vaccinated. So, have you been vaccinated?
No.
Do you plan to?
No.
Okay. I hope you don't get COVID.
Well, I don't want anybody. I really don't.
Well,
I mean, I don't get a flu shot either,
okay,
you know.
that's,
I guess I'm the boogeyman here, the bad guy, but like you said, there's two things we're reading. I'm not gonna try to fight this, I'm just saying, I don't agree with it. On, you know, at least one basis.
do you wear your seatbelt?
Yeah, because if I don't, that man right over there will give me $150.
Okay, do you plan on traveling? Do you ever travel anywhere? Do you go out of the state?
I travel all the time.
Okay.
That's why sometimes I'm never
Do you
here.
not think that might come down to where you have to be vaccinated to be able to travel?
Well, if it does that, then I'm leaving this country.
You won't be able to get out, that's, anyway.
Well, if it comes to that, then we're becoming a totalitarian country, and I'm afraid that's the way it's going. And
I understand about wearing a mask and making a good health area. I just don't get that.
I mean,
It's inconvenient, but I'm still doing the same things I did. My liberty is not gone. I still feel like I'm a free person.
and flu has dropped, influenza has dropped almost to nothing. We usually get about,
Amazing.
because we're wearing masks.
Yeah, okay.
All right, so,
Again, I'm not gonna be able to change your mind.
you know,
Mayor, this order is completely different from the one that's in our agenda.
that is
This
correct.
a new order.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make that clear for you.
Yeah, and that's why I'm asking y'all to look at it, because we wanted to be able to visit about it.
So here, and going back to a lot of what both of you guys were saying, but in general too. So, as you know, the governor pulled back the statewide mask mandate. So we cannot, nor can any other community mandate anybody to wear or not wear a mask.
Effective Wednesday.
Effective Wednesday. Walmart can still say, if you want to come in Walmart, you have to wear a mask.
Private temper.
Yep. Any individual property owner, business, or entity can mandate the mask in their own facility.
And the city can do that for the employees also. I have no problem.
Right. And that's what we're saying right now, is that until we just open back up completely, you come in, our employees need to wear their mask. If the public comes in to meet with somebody, they need to wear masks. Just the same as Walmart could do. Back to what Mr. Brawley was talking about, outdoors, nothing. As long as you can maintain 6 foot and stay out of people's faces, I don't care if it's on city property or anywhere else. No mask. You can wear it if you want to, but there's no requirement to
That's
do
all
so.
an ask, it's a voluntary thing rather than a mandate. I understand what you're saying.
As a property owner, not as a
Yeah.
city, but as a property owner, the city can say that just like any other business, if you want to come in and take a chance of affecting our employees, we think you need to take every precaution. And it's just being conservative, and I'm not saying who's right. I don't know whether you're right, or if it's a combination. But what I'm saying is when it comes down to our employees, for instance, we have a finance department that only has 4 people in it. Not only do we have to protect those 4 employees, we have to protect our continuity of services. If it gets into the finance department and we get 2 or 3 people down, we can't continue to provide services. So my thought is, just in our own facilities, protect our employees and to protect our ability to serve people, we need to take the more conservative approach. I'm not saying that it's great. I don't like a mask. But I can tell you that my wife and my son both got it. We wore masks in the house with them, and me and my daughter never got it. We might not have got it anyway. I don't know. But I guess it comes down to a couple of things. One is really, it just boils down to masks. Do we want to require masks inside city facilities? Not outside on city facilities, if they're in the park or the baseball field or the soccer field, even if they're spectators. Don't wear a mask unless you're up in somebody's face. And then I think it's appropriate to wear one. We did go back and changed, some of it I think just got lost in the shuffle from Bob having about 20 cities with about 20 different requirements. So we did go back to the 10 years of age as opposed to what he had in there before, the two-year-olds. But we did say, in the old one it said, in the facility, so if we're in this building, unless we're younger than 10, we have a disability or a condition, or we're alone in our own office, we need to wear a mask. Before, Bob had this had in there, in the version that you got in the package, said either or. I don't know that that's enough. I think probably if you're gonna be wandering around in the finance department or anywhere else, you need to take appropriate protection. What else have we changed, Bob?
You added,
We're not giving
B
you-
in the two paragraphs.
Yeah, it does say,
You're muted, Bob. Bob, you're muted.
You're muted, Bob.
Hello, Bob. Bob, you're muted.
sorry. It does say that you have to continue to wear a mask when you're inside the facility. We loosened up some of the requirements. It said even if you were alone in your office and that kind of thing, you still had to have your mask on, but we tweaked that a little bit and took that out, and then took out another requirement that was a little more restrictive. The big thing that we need help with is outside athletic facilities. We recognize that the coach and the athletic participants, it makes it virtually impossible to play sports wearing a mask in a lot of cases. So we allowed and loosened the rules, like at Live Oak or where we have baseball or soccer going on, to allow the coach and the athletes that are involved in the competition not to have to wear a mask. If you're waiting to play, you either need to maintain social distancing or a mask wearing or a face covering some kind, so that spectators don't become a super spreader event and someone get introduced and then the whole team comes down with COVID. So we've loosened that up a little. And then in the previous orders, the mayor had the ability to allow group gatherings of 10 or more, had to have mayoral permission. We've left that in, that if there's like a family reunion event or some event where we've got someone using the park for a social gathering, a party or something like that, we probably need some instruction. If it's 10 or more people, you still need the mayor or the city manager to approve that. And that's to protect not only the people that are participating in the event, but other people using the park facility. So that's kind of a rundown of some of the tweaks that we made to broaden yours up a little, maybe from some of the other cities. But it's really centric to city facilities and parks.
I'd also add, and Chief Wolf, I think would back me up on this, if you don't speak up, and probably Mr. Brawley would too, they're not gonna wear them outside. You know, we're gonna be spending, if we go to a baseball game, people are not gonna wear them. So why fight about it? You know, just count on them to keep their distance and don't worry about it.
So that was my original concern in this. It did not have the allowances for outdoor spaces and the activities outside.
Yes, if it did, we would be doing nothing but chasing people around. You don't have your mask on. And it just isn't gonna work.
And Council, remember, we had a really good guideline set up with the Soccer Association, which allowed them to play last year, and they did a really good job on self-policing. And we just had those guidelines for them, and it worked very well. So I think that's what we're planning on doing with the ball field, with football when it starts up, and baseball later this month. So. Anything else? Okay. Well, I put this on here specifically because I felt like we did not get to discuss it before, and we also chose not to withdraw it before, and so I wanted it to be a discussion, and I would, since this is an adoption of a resolution, then I would entertain a motion.
Mayor, before we go with the motion, can I ask one question? Just, Mr. Hager, it's really for you. We're voting on a motion that's written in our agenda one way, and I have a handwritten copy that's written another way. How do we ensure that we're doing this appropriately and that it's reflected the way it is in the handwritten copy that I have?
If you'll pass the resolution number 21022R with the revised 11th supplemental order, and that'll do it, Councilman. We'll make sure the right one gets attached. The one that you have, it was handed to you tonight that we've been discussing.
21022R.
Yes, Mayor and Council, let me read what I think you want to do, and if it meets with one of your approval, you can say so moved. The motion to consider would be adoption of resolution 21-022R, the City Council having a supplemental to previous resolution extending and amending the state of emergency to include a face covering requirement for city facilities, indoor city facilities, and setting forth regulations for use of the city park with and without face coverings.
So moved.
Councilman Tony first, second Councilman Drake.
Tony, aye.
Goodwin, aye.
Drake, aye.
Raleigh, no.
Wilson, no.
All right, passes 3-2. Item 6, conduct a public hearing and consider approving ordinance number 21-007 of the City Council of City of Red Oak, Texas, amending the comprehensive zoning ordinance and map of the City of Red Oak, Texas, as heretofore amended by granting a change in zoning from Plan Development 71, Revised 3, PD 71 R3 to Plan Development 71, Revision 4, PD 71 R4 to allow for changes to the development plan, architectural elevations, and other changes, including but not limited to the park and occupancy requirement located at 196 North Highway I-35E, City of Red Oak, Ellis County, Texas, as provided in Exhibit A attached hereto and incorporated herein, providing site plan, landscape plan, architectural elevations, and/or renderings, dumpster details, and fence details attached hereto as Exhibits B through F, which are attached hereto and incorporated herein, providing a repealing clause, providing a severability clause, providing a savings clause, providing a penalty of fine not to exceed the sum of $2,000 for each offense, and providing an effective date. Case Z-21-001, requested by Barry Brewer, Mr. Hartman.
Let Brian.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Hopefully everybody can hear me okay. Thank you, Mayor and Council. So with this case, you may be familiar with the Hampton Event Center at 196 I-35. Mr. Brewer is interested in having an accessory structure as an accessory incidental use to the main. As you know, he has special events, primarily weddings. He would like a 1,200 square foot structure to have chapel services or other incidental activities that go with the main building. And in addition to that, we're also needing to make changes to the site plan, because this was part of, I skipped a part, I guess. This is part of an existing plan development zoning district, so it's one of those custom zoning districts where, you know, you change something, a lot of times you need to get that reviewed and approved by the zoning commission and city council. So in addition to this accessory structure request, there is also the need to relocate a dumpster We lose a space or two parking space, but it's still above the 150 minimum required in the original PD as written. Also, we had installed a fountain near the front entrance, so it's all, which already exists. So we're also putting that on the site plan and landscape plan just to document that, you know, that's okay. I mean, probably shouldn't have done it this way, but if you needed a full life-size rendering, you can certainly go see it. It's there. Then the other thing was, it was kind of weird from a city planner's perspective to find fire code language in the zoning ordinance. So in talking with the fire marshal and the property owner, the design engineer already figured out that 440 is the max load occupancy by fire code and building code for the main building. And the PD had put in there 325. I'm not sure, I couldn't find a history on why that number was put in there. So like I say, from a city planner's perspective, you have a building code, fire code that already regulates that. There's no need to put that in your PD. I mean, if you're concerned about the number of people, there's other ways of restricting it in zoning, but that just seems like an odd way to go about it. So it's best just to let the fire code and building code regulate, which is at 440. And the PD has a 325, so in this amendment is just to remove that language altogether. Just let the fire code regulate max occupancy like it does in every other zoning district. Then, let's see, the other highlight would be the fence or screening wall. There was not a requirement to provide one, and there's not necessarily an issue other than Mr. Brewer has an issue that on the southern property line, maybe I should get you a visual, is on the southern property line, some people are trespassing. So one issue is he'd like to stop that. The other, on the 35 frontage side, you can imagine there's a little bit of road noise from the highway. And so he'd like to try to mitigate some of that by using this fence or wall. And so he provided the zoning commission some options, and the zoning commission went with the brick wall option at 8 feet running on the southern side and on the 35 frontage side. But when you get closer to the main building, and I'll show you all the detail later, it would drop down to 4 feet in height and then turn into just a wrought iron decorative metal style fence. So let me get you like here. And the landscape area changed a nominal amount. Basically, the 1,200 square foot footprint of landscaping went away, but it was still exceeding the landscape standards anyhow. So bottom line is providing the 1,200 square foot structure, you're able to still meet or exceed parking and landscaping. It allows him to adapt to the market conditions as explained to staff, which is a lot of people are wanting to have an on-site chapel service where they choose and bring in their own minister rather than necessarily always going to a church or something. The other issue is to point out is that fountain location on the northern side by Buckskin Drive. So it's a big water fountain and has like a logo, as it were, Hampton Event Center, just the letters. And to highlight the detail, we discussed this at P&Z just before your hearing. This red line shows you where the 8-foot brick wall would be. And then after that, for a length that will determine, but roughly along the length of the parking would be the decorative wrought iron. And just so you know, any of these options are still consistent with your current landscaping and screening ordinance. It's just, again, since this was part of the PD, y'all have legislative discretion to say what you think it should be. Zoning Commission's recommendation, again, was for the brick wall. Let me get you some images. So for the 1,200 square foot building, this is some of the architectural elevations. As you can see, there are 4 sides. They've all got some architectural interest in detail. It's what we call 4-sided design. And so he is providing that. Something that may be hard to see in these elevations is on the ends. These are kind of like, if you think of the main building, these are sort of like punch outs where the wall extends greater. And that's part of trying to just match the architecture of the main building. So Mr. Brewer, that's his intent, is to match the same aesthetic with the horizontal articulation of the architecture as well as color and brick. And this parapet wall is also meant to screen any mechanicals that would be placed on top of the roof from public view. And to get you, this render, I'll point out, is rather conceptual. It's to just kind of give you more of a sense of relationship and scale. This rendering doesn't show the punch outs on the corner that the architectural elevation did. Again, if you look at the main building, how the sides kind of punch out on the corner, that's the intent there with the accessory building to have that. So, see it in this conceptual render. Again, it's just to give a sense of the scale and the relationship that here's the main building. They've got kind of this outside patio area. There's a gate, and that would lead you to this accessory structure. Again, zoning doesn't really go indoors, but in case you're wondering, it's basically a very large open room with 2 restrooms. So there's not a kitchen or anything like that where, you could try to be doing something else out of it. And again, the purpose of the ordinance allows it to be an accessory incidental use structure to the main. And he's going to follow the dumpsters requirement. Wasn't a big deal. I think planning and zoning's bigger concern was on the fence options. So the applicant provided these pictures to communicate what he had in mind, and the zoning commission chose the brick option over the wood option. And again, as what staff relayed to the P&Z was, if you're trying to mitigate noise, the highest performing standard would be something that is masonry, followed by a solid overlapping wood fence. This fence here, while it looks nice, is basically a horizontally run shadow box fence. Well, it's got a bunch of air gaps. So you may trim a little high frequency, but you're not really blocking sound. So from the zoning commission, from the reasons of aesthetics, maintenance, as well as the goal of sound deadening performance, they chose the brick option. So the zoning commission's motion was to approve everything here as presented, but choosing the brick option as a fence. So with that, I'll be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Gensel. I still have a hard time believing an 8-foot fence is gonna dampen the highway sound. It needs to be a 24-foot fence. Like what they do going down Beltline Road in DeSoto, So he puts this fountain in, and it wasn't on the original plan. So is there some type of fee or fine that should have been administered, or why wasn't it caught during the inspection?
So it was done after the CO was already issued, and he didn't do any inspectable work out there from a planning, or from a plumbing or electrical standpoint. So even if we wanted to go back and typically, like in a case like that, if you do something without a permit, we'll say, okay, well, submit a permit now, double the fee, and then we'll come out and look at it as best we can.
So how to get the water and the electrical out there?
I don't think there's any electrical out there, but I literally fills it up with a hose. It's not a circulating pond with, and I'm not talking about the one you can see on the rendering. I'm talking about the one that's in the front, the fountain in the front of the property, not this big one you see in the nice pretty picture.
Okay, so is that a retention or a detention pond?
So it was originally designed as detention, and in the middle of the project, they switched it over to retention, dug it out more so that it could hold permanent water. So that was all approved through me, and their engineer just redesigned their plans to make that work. But the small fountain in the front is what got built without permit or without asking, and we just kind of noticed it when we started digging it, when they came back to talk about this, that's when we were looking at the site more and saw that it was on the original plan, so we made them at least add it to this, just to kind of solidify, and make sure it's, all in compliance.
So on the original plan, was that outdoor seating to the south of the building always there? On the original plan?
No.
All right, so he should be fine for that because there's fireplace, there's electrical, there's all this other stuff.
I don't know what's.
That fence, was that fence, that wood fence that's around that seating area? Where he was holding outdoor weddings and stuff during this COVID stuff?
Yep, that should have had a permit, a fence permit associated with it, yeah.
Now, Ben, that shouldn't ever come to us without somebody, straightening all that out. Correct?
Yep.
Because when he started adding all that stuff, I even asked somebody, was that stuff on the original plans? Because I don't remember that. You know, he put that fireplace out there. All right, so how are we gonna make sure that this all gets done the way that if this gets approved?
He'll submit a permit to do what he's asking to do, and we'll inspect it accordingly. The problem becomes if he's doing extra things out there after the fact, we'll need to either keep an eye on it or be notified of it if something does happen that's outside of the purview of the permit.
So, okay, so what is the fencing that's towards those houses? Because I know that came up too, and I think Harley was on that.
The fencing that goes along the houses is brick, and that's just the standard we'd always do against commercial versus residential. So they did, the picture that he provided is actually a picture of the existing wall on the site.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right, council, got any questions?
Yeah, was the dumpster moved significantly closer to the building? I don't remember what the original placement was.
Right. The dumpster was closer to where the accessory structure is, just to move over, yes, closer to the residential. But it otherwise does meet, our standards, and it's not necessarily closer to residential than other situations.
So is there a house right there behind it?
To the east.
To the east?
Yes.
So have we contacted that owner? Because if they're gonna have that trash truck right there beside their house every so often, where was it moved from again?
I believe it was.
Where the new building's going. Okay.
Yeah, so the current dumpster here, you can see a little hand moving.
Yep.
And is now gonna be over here where the hand is. And yes, everyone was notified within 200 feet, and I've not heard from anyone.
Okay.
So.
As long as we did our due diligence on.
Yes, sir. I also forgot to mention, if I may just quickly add, also did reach out to Chief Wolf, for any parking issues or other issues, in the past 2 years. Just that there was, because I was thinking about that occupancy issue, if there had been a concern about parking, but, Chief Wolf didn't have any, records of any citations or concerns about that. And according to the property owner, he's not come close to filling the parking lot either.
If I'm not mistaken, I think that's why it was put in the PD, the 350, because they were concerned about parking, whether it be, but I'm not certain. I think that's what I got put in.
Council, any other questions? So, P&Z approved this, unanimously?
Yes, unanimously, 5-0, and with approving the
this is a public hearing. The time is 8:08. I'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone online that wishes to speak on this?
Mr. Brewer, I'm here today.
Hello, Ms. Brewer. Thank you.
I'd like to start off with, in regards to the fountain up front. I did submit an application to construct that fountain before we did any work. I submitted the application to the city of Red Oak, talked to Johnny Bray about it, received an email back from Ben Hartman saying that I did not need a permit because it was a water feature or a landscape feature. So then I proceeded. So I didn't just construct that without being told I could do so. And I do have the email to show that I did reach out to the city before we constructed that in regards to that. Now, the landscape wall on the west side is going to not only serve for sound, but it's the visual as well. It's almost hard to have any type of exterior weddings with the trucks, the traffic that's constantly flowing by. So the noise is one thing, but also the visual aspect of it is another. Now with the highway construction that's headed along that highway as well, that would definitely be a, eyesore as well. So that's one of the other reasons why we want to kind of block that lower section off. It just brings something that's nice for our customers. We noticed that times have changed. Traditionally, I used to go to churches that utilize the space there at the churches for ceremonies, but now they're looking more for the space to be at the same location, in regards to your reception area. So we found a great need. We was losing a ton of customers. They love the space, but they would make, different decisions based on us not having that ceremony space. So we saw the need to try to save the business by adding that. But once again, the fountain, we did get the authorization from the city before we constructed that.
Thank you, Mr. Brewer. Is there anyone else? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close this public hearing.
So moved.
That's Ben. Councilman Goodwin?
Yes. Second.
Councilman Tony? Those in favor of closing? Tony, aye.
Aye.
Rick, aye.
Aye. Aye.
All right, that's 5-0, and it's closed at 8:11. All right, council, any other questions that you have? All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve ordinance number 21 I'm sorry. Yep, so approving ordinance number 21-007. It's amending the Plan Development 71 Revision 4.
So moved.
Wilson and Goodwin.
Second.
Those in favor?
Tony, aye.
Aye.
Greg, aye.
Raleigh, aye.
Aye.
All right, that's 5-0. That's approved. Item 7, deliberate and consider approval of assignment of Triumph, excuse me, that was Freudian. Triumph Aerostructures LLC tax abatement and economic development agreement with the City of Red Oak to Arlington Capital Partners upon approval as to form by the city attorney and authorize the city manager and or mayor to execute the appropriate document.
Okay. And Bob can weigh in on this as well, but as well as Lee. But basically, we're looking at about the same thing we did when Bombardier came in and bought out Triumph. Triumph is now being, the rest of it bought out, by a company called Arlington Capital Partners. They will have a subsidiary that's formed to actually operate this facility, as well as some others that they are also buying. They are a very well capitalized, outfit, but the one thing that, you know, we are going back and forth, and Bob with their attorneys are going back and forth on, is that we need to make sure we have the ability to keep our clawback, the recapture if they don't perform. So, you know, we gave them some incentives up front, Triumph, and if they don't continue to perform throughout the end of that agreement, then we need to maintain the ability to claw back and get a recapture of those incentives. And Bob is actively working with their legal representation as well. IDC approved they had some agreements with them as well. They approved those to be assigned at a meeting last week. And generally speaking, staff recommends approval of this one, but it needs to be contingent upon Bob working out the final draft of the agreement itself.
So, do we not do anything until that's finalized?
No, sir, I think, and Bob, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you can approve it contingent upon approval by the city attorney in the final form of the agreement.
Yes, and then we will not let anyone execute it until we've approved it. The real kind of glitch on this is to make sure there's only one assignment, not two assignments. As Todd has related, Arlington Capital Partners is really the money portion of the business, and then they have an operating entity, which is an affiliate or subsidiary of Capital Partners that actually engages in operations. And so we need to make sure that Arlington Partners still has the financial obligations and approve that assignment. And then the entity that's formed to be the operational wing of their operation would, of course, have to comply with all of the performance standards that are in our agreements with them. So it's just kind of working that out. I got another set of documents today, and I've gotten additional information from their legal counsel, and they appear to be cooperating. We just got to make sure that we sign the right documents to make sure that we account for what your expectations are. If they don't perform, that we get the property back and that they pay back the abatements. So I'd be happy to answer any questions, Mayor and Council.
Thank you, sir. Okay, so any questions for Mr. Hager? Or did he explain it well enough to make a decision? All right. I'll entertain a motion to approve the assignment of Triumph to Arlington Capital Partners upon approval with the city attorney. So moved. Councilman Drake, Councilman Wilson. Those in favor?
Tony, aye.
Oh, hang on, just a second.
Just a second.
Go ahead, sir.
Todd, there's actually a motion that I sent to you earlier. If you could pull that up, because I want to, it's not only with Arlington Capital Partners, but it needs to be with their subsidiaries or affiliates. So it would include those elements too. So that you understand, that would be the operating company that gets formed, would be their subsidiary and affiliate. So if you would approve the assignment to Arlington Capital Partners with their subsidiaries or affiliates to operate the Triumph facility, if that's your motion, if the city secretary would be kind enough to note that in there. Todd's got the actual motion language that I just reiterated to you, and we can include in the record, if that's acceptable. Sorry, Mayor.
Clear as mud.
Do y'all want me to just read the motion?
Read the motion.
Please. Okay. It'd be a motion to approve an assignment and assumption agreement of the Triumph Aerostructure Tax Abatement and Economic Development Agreement with the City of Red Oak to Arlington Capital Partners and to any of its subsidiaries, affiliates, or agents upon approval as to form by the city attorney and authorizing the city manager or mayor to execute the appropriate document.
Thank you.
I'll entertain that motion. Councilman Wilson this time is first. So moved. And Councilman Drake is second.
Tony, aye.
Goodwin, aye. Drake, aye.
Raleigh, aye.
Wilson, aye.
All right, that's 5-0. Thank you all. Entertain a motion to approve item 8.
Done.
We don't need to discuss.
We probably do want to go to executive session before we approve. We have that on executive session, so we probably do want to do that.
Right.
Not that there's anything wrong.
So, in all seriousness, thank you for what you've done over the past 6 months, year and a half, 2 years, stepping up. You've done a wonderful job.
Yes.
You've been a jewel. And, you are serious?
Yes.
All right. So anyway, we'll come out with that one. So we're gonna go to departmental reports, and we'll come back to item 8 here in just a second. All right, Chief Blanton.
Make sure you're gonna switch it up on me. Mayor, Council, I'd just like to, kind of further y'all's point on the winter storm acknowledgement. I know our public works staff, they did an outstanding job of treating the roads and keeping our primary response routes for police and fire, treated so we can make those emergency responses. In addition, they maintain a lot of power outages to keep the sewer and the water, or sewer stations and waters, up and running for the lengthy power, outages that we sustained. Communications and marketing, I can't tell Miss Alexa she's not here, but I can't tell you thank you enough. She took a huge load off of me with keeping the social media stuff going and updated, and with weather alerts and road closures and the road conditions and that sort of thing. And she was taking it from every direction. She was taking it from me, she was taking it from Chief Wolf, from Jonathan, from Todd, and she made it even, even better than what we anticipated. So I thank her for, very grateful that she's here and the job that she has done. The rest of the city staff, PD, I can't thank them enough. Chief Wolf stood there beside me and assisted with the many long hours. But I do know that each of the employees in this city worked long hours, day in and day out, and provided extraordinary service to our citizens. They did it with a smile on their face and with a servant's heart. They did all that while leaving their own families at home to fend for themselves. I know our staff dealt with some understandably upset citizens throughout the event, but I do know our staff put themselves in that citizen's situation and understood their frustrations. I know a lot of staff went out to the homes that were, people went to stay with a family member that had power. They returned home and there's water coming out of the front door, and they walk in, there's not a single stitch of sheetrock anywhere in that house. It was on the ground. So I know our staff, stayed there and went the extra mile to try to help them salvage things, and make the best of that situation that they possibly could. So I'm extremely grateful to be a part of this team where we not only take care of ourselves, take care of our citizens and our businesses, but we also take care of one another. So I don't have anything additional. Our annual report is in there, along with our February report, unless y'all have any questions.
Thank you. Chief Wolf.
Mayor, Council, I just have a couple of things. He kind of stole some of my thunder. And I think there's been a lot of accolades tonight. I think one of the more deserving ones is Chief Blanton and the job that he did. We stood up the Emergency Operations Center. Chief Blanton is one of those people that you don't have to give a whole lot of direction to. He just kind of picks the ball up and runs with it. He did a fantastic job, and it was very easy for the rest of us to just kind of fall in line and continue to support him on what he was doing. His staff was fantastic in helping not only the citizens out in the field, but when we had our own water break at the Police Department Annex, they were there to help squeegee water out of the building, and they're always accessible, and they do a fantastic job. And I want to echo his sentiments about Alexa and the job that she did. That took a lot off of us trying to formulate, strategize those media pushes, and we were just able to give her raw information, and she was able to create those documents and put them out. And that was a tremendous help for us, and that's something we had become accustomed to having to do on ourselves. And she was able to take that off of us, and that's a fantastic resource for us as a city. Second thing, we've completed our racial profiling report, or our contact report for last year. That's been submitted to the city secretary's office. I believe that y'all should have got a copy of that in your handouts. It's also been placed on the city website on our transparency portal for the police department, so anybody can go and access that data and review our contact report for last year. So that's been submitted, and we're in compliance with the state. And I'd be happy to answer any other questions that you have.
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Chief. Ms. Beasley.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Thank you, Chiefs, both of you, as well as Public Works. You guys were great at providing that information to me whenever I called or texted. So that was definitely a team effort. I could not have done that without you guys providing that to me. So thank you to them, and thank you guys for recognizing that me. The only thing I have to add in addition, if you guys had a chance to review the branding style guide for the city, I would like to point out that we are looking at phasing that in. It's not something that'll obviously go in effect tomorrow. So there will be a little bit of, probably over the next year, you guys will see a lot of those things you see examples of in the guide. And I'll take any questions on it that you guys may have. Or if you didn't have a chance to look at it, if you want to look at it and get back with anything you guys may like to add.
And basically what it's doing is just trying to keep everything consistent so that we have one brand and logo going throughout everything, rather than having one symbol in one department, another symbol in another, and so on and so forth. We're trying to keep things consistent from a branding perspective.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Harper.
I don't have anything to add to the report unless you guys have any questions.
Thank you. All right, thank you, sir. Ms. Amanda.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I don't have anything additional to add to my report, but am available for any questions you may have.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Platt.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I just have a few things that I wanted to highlight in the report. As always, we like to look at our sales tax and where we are with those numbers. As shown in the report, the same reporting period as last year, we are up a little over 21%. And then our year-to-date numbers are also up 19% from where we were year-to-date this time last year. Also, you may have noticed in the report that the building permits numbers were lower than they have been in a while. Of course, we did lose a week in February, basically, and they made up for it last week. The first week of March, we had $31,786 in collections that was recorded. So those are still coming in strong. Also, I wanted to bring out, with all the problems with the winter storm, we are definitely working with the citizens on a case-by-case basis with payment plans or leak adjustments, different things that they may need to assist in that area. And that's all I basically had. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to assist.
Thank you, Ms. Platt. Mayor. Oh, I'm sorry.
Lori, would you mind giving council an update on the audit process and where we are?
Yes, we are preparing to bring that to council on the April meeting, the annual report. Since we do have one meeting a month, that's something that we look at. and they're wrapping that up right now. Of course, there's a, it's a little bit longer process when we do contract with new auditors. So this is our first year with these auditors, and they're being very thorough, which is good. And so we do expect that to have on our April meeting.
Thank you very much. Some more reading coming from. Okay, Mr. Bedford.
Yes, sir. I just wanted to update everybody. Last week, Microsoft discovered a flaw in their Exchange server, which is an email server. What we're running on, by the weekend, over 30,000 email servers in the United States have been hacked by the Chinese. Luckily, we installed the patch. I read about it Thursday night when they put it out. I started patching it Thursday night. Did cause a few problems. We got a few glitches we're trying to work out, but like most people on the internet said, rather have the glitches from that than from the hack. So we'll work through those. But so far right now we're secure. Keep running tests to make sure, working with federal and state resources. Got a meeting tomorrow, just making sure we're keeping up to date on any other patches or any other holes that we need to look for. So far we're safe. So hopefully we stay that way. Yippee.
Mr. Ragsdale.
Yes, Mayor and Council, thank you. I just wanted to point out one thing in the statistics report. For the first time since we've had the service, we had a large number of magazine checkouts. We had 59 magazine checkouts. On your stats, it appears as RB Digital, and the only product that we get from RB Digital now are magazines. So I wanted to point that out, and I'm excited that it's a great service that we can provide, and people are finally taking advantage of it. Other than that, I don't have anything unless anyone has any questions.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Kelly.
Good evening, Council, Mayor. Inside the report this month, if you noticed, there was a lot of construction going on right now. Fargo's Park is in the final stages of being completed. We'll have an opening date as soon as we can get the electrical connection out there for the splash pad and for the rest of which will tie in for the rest of them to be able to complete the rest of the park. If we go over to the Red Oak Baseball and Softball Complex, great deal of work going on out there right now. We've made some good strides in the last 2 weeks after we cleared the weather. We did lose 13 days so far this year to bad weather, and so we're trying to make that up. They're working Saturdays and then working late in the evenings, picking up a couple hours every day. We will see the scoreboards going up tomorrow. That's kind of one of the new things out there, and then the electrical should be connected here in the next week. And once that's done, we'll start running the light test, running power test to everything that has power hooked up to it, and then we'll be very close to being finished. The last field 1, which is the 6th field to be laid out there, is they did set the carpet today and they started unrolling. They got 34 rolls to go, so they've got about 4 of them out and 30 more to go. And they should have that field finished by the end of the week. And then we'll go from there. We're going to have a grand opening on the 20th. There will be a first game out there on that date. Everybody is invited and would love to have people out there. Of course, we will social distance. We'll be outdoors. And I'm sure everybody will be real thrilled to be able to see what's been going on out there for the last year. And yes, sir.
How much money do you have in Parks Fund now?
Sir, I don't know. I can get that answer for you though.
In which fund, sir?
Park Council Fund. We get what, $600-700 a house going in.
Oh, okay. $700 per permit. Yes, sir.
Yeah, $700 per permit.
As soon as you write a check, it'll be more.
Well, I got to thank a lot of people. I mean, there's a lot of people that certainly have made this thing happen. it just didn't, I got real lucky and I show up here and the ball was already rolling. I just get to get behind it and push it a little bit. And so there's a lot of people to say thank you to for making this happen. And I got a lot of feedback from the community and everybody's really excited. So, sir?
When does the fire start?
We will be burning our fire department is going to be doing a control burn out at we're calling Bear Creek Park, out off of East Ovilla Road. We don't know how far they'll get. We went through the property today to look at some of the areas, the fire breaks that have already been cut in and everything, so that way we can try to reduce some of the invasive species that we have going on out there, the tallow-berries and the blackthorn, or is that?
Red-tip senior blackthorn.
There's several. There's probably about a half a dozen invasives that are getting out of control out there, and this fire will help put them back in check. It won't eliminate them, but it'll certainly put them back to the outskirts of the park and not really kind of take it over. So that starts tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. So if anybody calls saying, hey, there's a grass fire, I'm sure that we'll be very well aware of what's happening. And Chief, I don't know, how long do you think that will take? Is that going to be an all-day burn, 2-day event? Okay. So it could be more than one day. And then I also wanted to invite everybody to come out on March 31st between 6 and 7. We're having a bunny trail drive-through. We're taking the Easter candy and some goodies from the community. We've got some coupons and everything from some of our vendors throughout the community. We're going to be stuffing them into a bag, and then we're going to have a drive-through event where we can safely hand off bags of stuff to the kids. Therefore, they have the opportunity to have some sort of an Easter this year, since having a Easter egg hunt right now is a very challenging thing. So we wanted the opportunity for the kids to have something. Right now we've got about 1,000 bags, so there might be a shortage. So we're hoping that we'll have enough, but there's an opportunity that we may not. So we're going to set some rules in place to make sure that kids must be present in order to receive the bag, so we don't have mom pulling up saying, I got 6 more at home. I don't want to try to make it to where it's fair for the people that show up, and everybody who does will get something.
I guess Gordon and I are not going to be able to get in the line this time.
Well, hey, you can come out there and wave and say hey to the kids if you like. That'd be great. But if anybody has any questions related to Parks and Rec right now,
Put you in the... Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Calvin. I went out there tonight and helped assemble some bleacher stands with him. So Todd is out there by himself, not this Todd, but Todd's out there by himself trying to do those 16-foot things. And
he's the project manager.
Oh, yeah, he's out there a lot. And we're driving from Waco every day. He's out there. So, Mr. Williams.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Actually, anything I would have to add to my report is already been said. So I don't have anything to add at this point. So I will take any questions.
When are you going to have the priorities for your roads that you're going to work on this summer?
The analysis, that project actually kicks off next week. So that's when it all begins with the contractor on site and beginning that process.
Thank you, Scott.
Yes, sir.
And again, we will echo what everybody else has said, pass it on to your workers. Thank you very much for a job well done and for going above and beyond during that crisis with the weather. So thank you. All right. Was there any other reports? Okay. So the time is 8:37. We will go into executive session pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.71, 551.0, 551.071, 551.087, 551.072, and 551.074. And that time is 8:38. Those to join us would be,
I guess let's start off with, council, Jonathan, myself, and Bob. Not yet. And then we'll bring in, we'll have to bring some people in separately this time because we've got multiple things going in. So we'll bring Karen in after we talk a little bit, and then we'll bring Lee in and so on and so forth.
We got to talk behind your back, man.
all right. So you got that, you're gonna make, do you want control?
I need to go.
Okay, all right. All right, thank you all, and, thank you all for being here, and we'll talk to everyone here in a little bit. So take Lee off.
You want me in there, right?
No.
Not me?
No.
I wake up in the horse's head.
That's better than the other hand.
Well, yeah.
Never mind. So you got a new one.
Okay, so no to that.
Yeah.
Say yes to this?
Yeah, the resolution is okay. Just fix some spelling errors on the order.
Okay, so the time is 10:08, and we will reconvene back into open session. So we were gonna take back up, item 8 in regular session. And I'll entertain a motion to approve, Karen Stevens as city secretary for the city of Red Oak, Texas.
So moved.
Councilman Wilson? Second?
Second.
Councilman Drake? Those in favor?
Tony, aye.
Aye. Drake, aye.
Raleigh, aye.
Wilson, aye.
That's approved 5-0.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Was there any other action items that needed to take place?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Councilman Goodwin, second Councilman Wilson, and the time is 10:10 p.m.
Yeah, it's 8:10 California.
All right, good night. Thank you, gentlemen.